The storm raged on outside, raindrops hammering against the glass like restless fingers seeking entry. I had just slipped under my blanket, the dim glow of my bedside lamp casting flickering shadows across the walls. Exhaustion clung to me after a long, draining day, and all I wanted was to drift into the embrace of sleep. Then I heard it, soft, deliberate, a knock on my bedroom door. My breath hitched. My pulse quickened. I lived alone. "Who's there?" I called, forcing my voice to remain steady despite the unease creeping up my spine. The door creaked, inching open, and then I saw her. She wasn't human. Standing at barely 5 feet, her form shimmered with an ethereal glow, her skin a muted violet that rippled subtly like liquid moonlight. Her eyes, large, luminous silver, held an eerie depth as if they contained entire galaxies. Strands of what seemed like floating threads of starlight hovered around her head, drifting lazily in an unseen current. "May I stay here tonight?" she asked, her voice a soft melody, laced with something fragile, something desperate. I swallowed hard, my thoughts a tangled mess. What are you?" She took a single step forward, her movement unervingly smooth, almost weightless. "My name is Alara. I am not from this world. My vessel malfunctioned during descent, and I needed shelter. I was drawn here. Here." My voice was barely above a whisper. "Why my home?" Alara tilted her head slightly, as if considering the question. "You emit warmth, safety. I can sense such things." She hesitated. "Please, I need rest." Logic screamed at me to refuse, to run even, but there was something in her voice, something raw and honest. Against every rational instinct, I found myself stepping aside. "All right, but no weirdness, okay?" A flicker of amusement danced across her expression, vanishing almost as soon as it appeared. "I promise." She moved to the bed, her every motion fluid, deliberate. As she sat on the edge, the glow around her subtly brightened, casting faint waves of light over the sheets. I hesitated before cautiously slipping under the covers on the opposite side, my body rigid, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts. Alara lay back, clasping her hands over her chest. The strands of glowing hair continued to shift around her head, like soft tendrils of cosmic energy. Silence stretched between us, interrupted only by the rhythmic patter of rain against the window. Slowly, my fear began to fade, replaced by something else. Curiosity. "Where did you come from?" I asked, barely above a whisper. She didn't open her eyes as she responded. "From a place beyond your understanding. A world of harmony and knowledge. It is difficult to translate into your language." "Then why are you here?" She finally turned her gaze toward me, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of something deeply human in those silver eyes, sorrow. "To explore, to learn, to understand," a pause. But my journey did not go as intended. I wanted to ask more, but she already seemed drained. So instead I murmured, "Good night, Alara." "Good night, human," she replied softly. When I woke the next morning, golden sunlight streamed through the curtains. For a moment, I almost convinced myself it had all been a dream. But then I turned. Alara sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through a book from my shelf, her silver eyes scanning the pages with quiet fascination. "Your stories are strange," she mused without looking up. "But I think I like them." "Morning," I mumbled, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. Alara glanced up from the book in her hands, her silver gaze calm. "Did you rest well?" "As well as anyone could after meeting an alien in their bedroom," I muttered, stretching. "What about you?" She gave a small nod. "Your sleeping arrangement is quite comfortable. I appreciate your hospitality." I exhaled, still trying to process everything. "So, what now? What's your plan?" Closing the book, she turned to face me fully. "I must repair my craft and return to my world. But the materials required are uncommon on this planet." I hesitated, then surprised myself by saying, "Maybe I can help." Her silver eyes widened slightly. "You would do that?" I shrugged. "I mean, I don't exactly have experience fixing extraterrestrial ships, but I can try." And so began the strangest week of my life. Hilaire described what she needed in terms I could barely wrap my head around. Together, we searched through scrapyards, electronic stores, and even a research lab at the local university, always careful not to attract attention. She donned a hoodie and oversized sunglasses, an amusingly simple disguise, yet oddly effective. During our time together, I learned more about her world. Her people, the Astries, lived in a realm of peace, guided by wisdom and unity. She spoke of floating cities bathed in eternal twilight, of vast oceans that shimmered with energy, of a way of life built on understanding rather than conflict. In return, I told her about Earth, our achievements, our failures, the wars and wonders that shaped us. She listened with fascination, her luminous eyes reflecting every word. One evening, as we sat on my porch beneath a sky littered with stars, she turned to me and said, "Your kind is extraordinary in its own way, imperfect, yet determined. I have learned much from you." I smirked. "You're not so bad yourself." Her laughter was soft, like the wind through chimes. By the end of the week, we had everything she needed. Deep in the forest, she led me to her ship. It was unlike anything I had ever seen, sleek, metallic, shaped like a falling droplet frozen in time, partially buried in the earth from its crash. She worked with swift precision, her fingers moving over glowing panels, sealing fractures, reconnecting circuits. Within hours, the craft was whole again. Then she stepped back, gazing at it in silence. "It is ready?" I swallowed the sudden lump in my throat. "So, this is it, huh?" She turned to me, her expression softer than I'd ever seen. "It has to be—" I wanted to say something, but before I could, she reached out and placed her hand over my chest. A rush of warmth spread through me, like a quiet fire igniting in my soul. "This is my gift," she whispered. "A part of me left with you. When you are lost, when you seek clarity, it will guide you." I didn't understand fully, but I nodded. "Take care of yourself, Alara." A single tear glistened in her eye as she smiled. "Goodbye, human." She stepped into her vessel, and the ship hummed to life, lifting off the ground in a soft glow of light. I watched as it ascended higher and higher until it became nothing more than a streak against the endless sky. And then she was gone. Life returned to normal, at least on the surface. But I was never quite the same. Some nights, I found myself staring at the stars, wondering if she, too, was looking back. And then one evening, as I stood beneath the vast sky, I felt it, a warmth deep in my chest, the same warmth she had left me with. She was safe, and I knew then, with absolute certainty, that our meeting had never been an accident. Sometimes, the most profound connections are the ones that remind us of who we are, even when they come from the stars.